Being a Mason gives me a sense of security to stand side by side with some of the great Masons in history, including my grandfather.
It's a chance to associate with people who have lived their lives to a certain code, and they're willing to share with you the information of that code to help you further yourself in your life.
I have not met a Mason who is not trustworthy, that I cannot trust.
Being a Mason brings me closer to my kids and makes me understand where I want them to go, the direction I want them to follow.
When I leave a meeting and I go home and discuss with my wife ways that we can help our community, I'm proud to be a Mason.
It was in a lodge like this that my father, former New England Patriot Ron Burton, became a Freemason 4 decades ago. He joined a proud tradition of men dating back to George Washington, Benjamin Franklin, and Paul Revere, who formed a country and built a nation. And like those men, my father was a great man, and he passed many traditions on to me, including Freemasonry. Across the state of Massachusetts, there are tens of thousands of men like myself who are committed to the ideals and values of Masonry, to shape a man's character, to strengthen our communities, to develop friendships, and to serve our families.
If you would, that would be great, because those, we got to keep those clean looking. The experiences in Masonry certainly make me a better businessman. Mostly, I think, because of the people that I know that I like to emulate. Find a way to run a busy business and still put the time into Masonry and other projects that help other people. When I first joined Masonry, I was really worried about the time commitment and what it took to be involved as a Mason. But I quickly found out that it's more about being who you are and how you conduct yourself.
I think the other thing that appeals to me is they're upstanding without being kind of stolid or rigid or seeming very stoic in a sense. They're real people. They smile, they laugh. On occasion they curse, but they're real people. They're not trying to pretend they're something they're not. And I enjoy fellowship with them, to learn to be like them, to learn how to apply the principles of Masonry to my life through their example. In addition to the history of saying that you're a member of the same organization that like George Washington, Paul Revere, Ben Franklin were all members of.
For somebody like Paul Revere, Freemasonry provided the opportunity for him to explore and develop the various talents he knew he had in him. He wasn't well connected. His family didn't come over on the Mayflower. Paul Revere, at a fairly young age, was able to join a Masonic lodge in Boston and serve in many capacities as a Mason throughout his life, serving as Grand Master of Massachusetts after the Revolution. So Freemasonry taught him many, many skills he learned in the lodge to perform what duties he was able to achieve. He never became governor of Massachusetts. He wasn't a signer of the Declaration of Independence, but he nonetheless became important for the history of Massachusetts, for the beginning of the Revolution, and ultimately towards independence of this country.
As the United States of America grew, ordinary men did extraordinary things. Lewis and Clark explored the West. Presidents Theodore and Franklin Roosevelt defended our freedoms. Thurgood Marshall upheld our Constitution, and astronaut John Glenn opened our skies. But before these men achieved greatness, they were Masons first, and today, Masons are doing great things across America.
Okay? Watch. Open up your mouth. Open your mouth. Ah, there you go. And I'm going to do the other cheek.
Very good.
When you are there to help out, expecting absolutely nothing in return, is really when you get the greatest reward. And we go out into our communities and we spread that and we share that with other community members, and we help our communities grow and become stronger. There was a meeting, and one of the lodge brothers stood up and said, "I just came from the USO and I've learned that there isn't enough staff next month to keep the doors open." I think almost every hand in the lodge went up. This happens all the time, whether it's Army National Guard members or reservists who are preparing to deploy. We'll throw either a breakfast for them or have coffee, or when they come back, we'll meet them at the airport and we'll have pizza for them, their families, and for them. And it's very easy to relate some Masonic values into those lessons, especially when it comes to working with your children and raising children and trying to teach them the difference between right and wrong, and why it's important to do the right thing.
People hear the cry of the wind, listen to the cry of the wind.
I Outside of my passion for the business, my other big passion is music. I had the opportunity to join a band with a couple fellow Masons and some non-Masons. The sole purpose is to raise money for a rural mission project in South Carolina where they rehab houses. I'd play anyway, and to be able to raise money doing it for such a good cause and people who need the money badly gives you a real sense of accomplishment.
It's a child identification, and what we do is we videotape the child, each child individually. Masonry is a group of men who bond together, who socialize together, they work together to make a better world. And also when they do this, they're also overflowing it to their family and involving their family. If you have a husband or a boyfriend who is thinking about joining Masonry, definitely talk him into it. Once he becomes a Mason, the more he gets involved, the more fun and the more you're going to get out of it as well.
Welcome to the fair. Wow! What are you doing? Thanks for coming.
The goal of Freemasonry is to take a good man and make him better. Including the man's family is a part of that process.
And when you are involved, like the Masons are, in charities, you can see the difference you can make in somebody's life, somebody less fortunate than you. And I think with my kids, I'd like to instill that in them because the things the Masons do can change somebody's life, change your own life, the way you look at things. My wife and I offered to do the shopping for kids with Adopt a Family. We adopt a family for Christmas. We sponsor a girl. I think it's been 3 or 4 years now to go to a diabetes camp. We also have Christmas with Santa here, where we invite a whole lot of kids in. They all get gifts. Here, everybody's coming for the same reason. They're coming here for the friendship and the camaraderie.
And I know if I have a problem, they're going to be right there. In fact, I was in the hospital about 8 years ago. I had major surgery. And I mean, I had phone call after phone call. I had people coming over. People were coming over with dinners. And they were there. They were my family. They are my family.
Freemasonry, through its rituals, its lectures, its symbols, to encourage and hopefully let individual men understand that they are human beings and all men are human beings and all good men have certain things in common, and that should be enough to form a friendship. So as I've traveled around this country, and I'm originally was made a Mason in Iowa, and I've traveled to Europe, all the men who I've met in the fraternity all have the same sort of things in common because we've experienced the same ritual and obligations to each other. And that is a point of contact which friendship may grow.
I've met Masons all in several different parts of the country and in different career paths and different capacities. It's kind of neat coming from 2.5, 3 hours away from my home to start the business down here to know that there's people around that you can have an instant conversation and connection with.
Members of our lodge who've been in World War II and every other conflict up until present day. And to be in their presence and to associate with them is certainly a benefit, which helps me see that long term I can hopefully aspire to be like them in the future.
Being a Mason, you develop a lot of trusting relationships. You can rely on the guys in this lodge, not only this lodge, probably other lodges, even if you don't know them, for help if you need help. The friendships you build, you can't go too many places if you're a Mason and meet another Mason where you don't automatically start talking about something.
Anywhere you go, not only in the United States, but all over the world, you can find a Masonic organization that will welcome you into their lodge. My Masonic brothers are men who would stand by me, no matter what.
Freemasonry is the oldest and largest fraternal order in the world. Its influence can be seen in almost any country. It bridges all races, religions, and cultures. Masonry is an idea that binds men together and leaves an everlasting mark upon their character. If you have greatness within you, then the Masons of Massachusetts has a place in our lodge for you. Thank you for watching.
If you would like to learn more about Freemasonry or are interested in joining, please visit massfreemasonry.org. Or, to speak to a brother, call the Grand Lodge of Masons in Massachusetts at 800-882-1020.